Okay, so like I just got done saying, this is a continuation of what we started yesterday. So yesterday we started section 3.3. It was all about slope. We talked about how to find slope when you are given the graph. So given the picture, you just do the rise over the run.
You gotta write that?
Yes, you need to write all of this. Today we are going to find slope using the equation method. So, you use this method when you are given coordinates. So you're given two ordered pairs, 2x's, 2y's. When you're given that, we are basically using the same formula that we did when we found rate of change on Tuesday. The numerator, that's the top of your fraction, is going to be what you get when you subtract the y's. Your denominator, that's the bottom of the fraction, is what you're going to get when you subtract the x's. This is the most important part of this slide. This is how you're going to find slope. Yesterday we said slope was rise over run. This is how you find rise over run without a picture. You subtract the y's on top, you subtract the x's on the bottom. These little numbers, these little subscripts, that just means the first y that I gave you or the second y that I gave you. First x I gave you, second x I gave you. There is another variation of this that most teachers use. I'm kind of the oddball. A lot of teachers want you to start with the second y minus the first y and the second x minus the first x. These two things will give you the exact same number. So if you take an algebra class after this one, this is most likely what the formula would look like. The second ordered pair is written first. But like I said, as long as you keep your signs straight, that shouldn't really matter. Any questions on this so far? So the first thing that I do in every single example today is figure out what's the first x, what's the first y, what's the second x, and what's the second y. Remember, x comes first in an ordered pair. So this is x, and it's the first x they gave me, so I'm going to put a little 1 after it. This is y, and it's the it's the first y they gave me, so I'm going to put a little 1 after it. In the next ordered pair, this is the x value. It's the second one, so I'm going to put a little 2. And this is the second y, so I'm going to put a little 2. Now, you just wrote down a formula that said you want to do y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. What is y1 in this example? What? -2. See, it's right here. y1. So I'm going to write that first. Minus, what is y2? -6. It's right here. Again, the most common mistake I see is that people want to put the x's on top. You got to put the y's on top. The y's are your rise. Remember, rise first, then run. Okay, next, I want the first x. What's the first x? 3 minus, what's the second x? -4. Wonderful. Now you can just simplify. So on the top, we have -2 minus -6. Minus a negative is like a plus. So what is -2 plus 6? 4. Very good. Over, on the bottom, we have minus a negative. So that's like a plus. What is 3 plus 4? 7. So every time I go up 4, I go right 7. Can I reduce this? Nope. You can type it in your calculator using the ABC button, and it will not simplify it at all. Quick recap. Start by labeling your points. The first x they gave me, the first y they gave me, the second x they gave me, the second y. And then you're just plugging numbers in here and doing the subtraction. What are your questions? The hardest part is remembering this formula. Subtract the y's on top, subtract the x's on the bottom. Questions? All right, here's number 7. Take a second to write it down. As you're writing it down, you can label the points. So remember, the first Ordered pair, we have x and y, and since they're the first x and y, I'm going to put a little 1 after them. In the back, we have x and y. They're the second x and y, so I'm going to put a little 2 after them. Quick reminder of our formula, we're subtracting those y's on the top, we're subtracting the x's on the bottom. All right, what's y1? 2, very good. Minus, what's y2? 10, very good. On the bottom, I want the x's, so what's x1? Minus, what's x2? -5. Any questions so far? Make that negative a little easier to see. All right, now you just do the math. What is 2 minus 10? No. -8, very good. What is 1 minus -5? 6. Question so far. Here's where it's going to get a little tricky. Type that into your calculator with that ABC button. That's how you can easily reduce a fraction. What happens when you do that? It gives you -4/3. Yours gave you that the first time? Nice. Did anyone's give you something besides -4/3? Did it give you 1 1/3? Okay, if it gives you 1 1/3, here's what you need to do. You need to hit the second button. It's the top left button. And then hit the ABC button again. And then hit your equal sign. You are not allowed to have mixed numbers when you're talking about slope. We want one rise, we want one run. We don't want a number out in front. That's going to mess us up. So if you hit this combination, it will change it from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Did it work for you? Okay. Anyone have any questions? If you give me the answer 1 1/3 on your homework, I will be marking it wrong. Questions? Ready for number 8? There you go. We are doing 10 today, so we'll have 8, 9, and 10, and then you'll have the rest of class do your homework. My goal is for you to not have homework over the weekend, so if we keep this pace up, I think we will meet that goal. All right, how am I going to label these?
X, Y, 1.
Yes, x1 and y1. What about the 1 and the 5?
X2 and 5.
x2 and y2. Remember, it goes xy, xy, and then the first ones have a 1 and the second ones have a 2. Now you need to recall your formula. Y is on top, 1 minus 2. X is on the bottom, 1 minus 2. All right, what's y1?
7. Yeah, 7.
Minus, what's y2?
5.
Over
5 minus 1.
1. Very good. All right, now you can just do the math. That gets a 2 on the top and a 4 on the bottom. Use that ABC button. What's 2 over 4? 1/2. Done. So what this means is if we were looking at the graph, every time you went up 1, you would go right 2. This is your rise number. This is your run number. So again, it's the same thing we've been talking about, rate of change, rise over run, slope, all of those things mean the exact same thing. You want your change in your y's on top of your change in your x. Questions? All right, number 9. What's this?
X, Y, 1.
What's the 9?
Y, 1.
Very good. So we got x1, y1.
And X2, Y2.
Then we got x2 and y2. And what's the formula I'm using?
Y1 take away Y2.
Very good.
X1 take away X.
Very good. So what number do I want first?
9,
Minus.
12.
Wonderful. Over.
7 minus 6.
Very good. 9 minus 12.
Negative 3.
-3. Thank you for not saying 3. What is 7 minus 6? 1. Now, if you type this into your calculator, it will tell you just plain old -3. That is completely fine. But remember, I told you guys yesterday, I always want to rise and I always want to run. So when I do it, I'm going to leave it like this. Every time I go down 3, I go right 1. Questions? All right, last example of the day. Tricked you, it's really 2 examples in one. So instead of writing my formula twice, I'm just going to put it once on the top. This is
5. Oh, yeah. Oh, X1 and Y1.
okay.
And then X2 and Y2.
And you already said we want to start with 5. Okay, 5 minus.
5. I mean,
No, you're right. It just makes me a little nervous. I'm going to end up with a 0 up there.
yeah.
Okay, what next?
And then 6. Negative 6. Take away 2, negative 2.
Okay, good. Thank you. On the top, you heard me cringe. I'm getting a 0. On the bottom, that's like -6 plus 2, so that's a -4. Here's where it gets tricky. What is 0 divided by any number in the whole world? 0. Thank you. The slope here is 0. Is it okay to get a slope of 0?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Most definitely. You might recall from yesterday, a slope of 0 means you just have a horizontal line. So there is no rise, there's just a bunch of running. That's how you get a slope of 0. Questions on part A? All right. Part B. Got the x1, y1. We got the x2, y2. And what am I going to start with?
1 take away 4. 1 minus 4.
1 minus
Negative
-4.
4.
Don't drop negatives.
And then negative 7 minus negative 7.
Yes. The top, that's like 1 plus 4, which is?
5.
And on the bottom, it's like -7 plus 7.
0.
0. Careful with your signs. I think you forgot this negative up front.
Oh.
You get a negative on the bottom. Type that into your calculator for me.
-7. Oh wait. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Don't you like add
This part?
plus? Make the middle line.
Yeah, you were right. This is 0. You had this one right.
Oh.
You're good. All good down here. What I want you to type in now is 5 divided by 0. It says error. Do you know why it says error? You cannot divide by 0. It is a big no-no in the math world. People will laugh at you for days. This is undefined. It is not possible. Now, we talked about a special kind of line yesterday that had a slope of undefined. Do you remember what it looked like? It was straight up and down. So if you graphed these points, you would get a line that's straight up and down. And that's fine. You can graph a line like that. You can have a slope of undefined. But we just can't put a number with it because, look, your run is 0. And you can't divide by a 0. It's just not possible. So this is kind of a weird one, but it is okay. Remember, if the calculator tells you an error, that's probably when you're going to get undefined. What are your questions on this? None? All right, get your homework out. It's the worksheet that we started yesterday. So on your homework, we are going to do number 12 together. So jump down to number 12. You can do 9, 10, and 11 on your own. Before I do anything, though, I'm going to just remind myself of the formula. So if you write it on the top of this section, you won't need to write it every time. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, number 12, the first ordered pair, I'm going to label it x1, y1. The second ordered pair, x2, y2. Okay, I want to start with y1. What's y1?
-1 minus 4.
Very good. And on the bottom?
12 minus -30.
Beautiful. What is -1 minus 4? -5. What is 12 minus -3? 15. That looks highly likely to reduce. Can anyone reduce that for me? -1 over 3. Remember that ABC button is your best friend on this. Am I done?
Yeah.
Yes, you gotta know when to stop. Good. Okay, box it in. The other 5 are your homework. If you didn't finish something 1 through 8, you need to finish that too before you turn it in. I highly, highly, highly recommend you turn this in before you leave, just because it is the weekend and you're way more likely to lose it if you don't finish it. So do your best. Any questions?